Tell me when, dear. Yes. Who's sorry now? Who's sorry now? Whose heart is aching for breaking each vow? I think I better move the tempo up a little. Who's sad and blue? Who's crying too? Just like I cried over you, right to the end, just like a friend. I tried to warn you somehow. You had your way, now you must pay. I'm glad that you're sorry now. There must be something else I could sing in that vein. How about...
How would I describe her? I would describe her as a very, very pretty young lady who looked a lot like Lauren Bacall. She had two voices. One was very sweet when she talked to all her friends, but when she was angry about something at someone she didn't know very well, she could be really fierce. So to know her was to know her real self, which was a kind self.
So I think she was really smart. I think that she struggled with the fact that she left home when she wasn't married. And I think she did that because she got a job and wanted to leave. And back then in the 1950s, early 50s, women didn't do that. Like they stayed at home till they got married. They may not have had a big job, or if they had a big job, they ended it when they got married. So I think she was way ahead of her time.
Okay, now we're good. What do I think about when I think about Nana? I would describe my Nana, to me, she came over like holidays, and she would sit in our family room, and for hours she would just watch classic movie after classic movie, and every once in a while I would go in there and just like watch with her. Those are probably like my favorite memories of us together, but I think about the fact that we would always eat angel hair pasta together, and she always liked her food really warm. I really liked her house. I always thought her house was really cute. She had like little trinkets everywhere. But yeah, she was just like Nana.
It was just a regular day. I'd been hanging out in the hospital room with her pretty much every day, and I would drive back and forth to home. And it was about 3:00, and she said, I really want to talk to Barbara. And I said, okay. So I called Barbara on my cell phone.
The phone rang, and it was Jane. And I knew she'd been ill, but didn't realize how serious it was. And she started the conversation saying, Barbara, I am dying. You can imagine the shock to me. I was shocked, and then became more shocked because she said, and I want you to tell her now, tell her, Jennifer's here, tell her.
So I took the phone and I said to Barbara, I have no idea what you're going to say to me, like none. And so she told me that Mom had gone to Sicily. Well, they had always traveled together because they both worked at British Airways, and they always traveled together, and I had known that, and I had known lots of their stories about traveling together. So this one time, Mom decided to go to Sicily alone.
She had met a very nice young man who had offered to take her out in his car and show her the sights of Taormina in Sicily. But he suddenly turned on her and raped her.
Dear, you made me feel so bad.
What she did was go to a man in the office who was a sales manager, and she went to him and she said, what shall I do? And he, being as nice man as he is, got in touch with his sales manager, whom he trusted out in San Francisco. And he said, "Do you know of any mother baby establishments that I could send my friend to? And I don't want anyone to know anything about this." And arranged for her to come to San Francisco, and he took her to a mother baby place.
She had a baby and gave the baby up for adoption 7 years before you were born. And then that baby got in touch with her, and then they began writing letters.
I knew that she was Catholic and she wanted me to be raised Catholic and that she did not want me to find her.
She didn't want her family to know, and her brothers and sisters and people. She was terribly afraid that it would hurt them in some way. And I think she was a very devoted Catholic person, and she felt in a strange way that it was her fault.
It was Catholic guilt, but it was supercharged by the fact of the time, because in society, 40s and 50s, what did women do? They left school, they got married. My mother, she was different even before this happened. She'd moved out and wasn't married, and she wanted to move out, so she did, right? All of her sisters were getting married, her brother got married, everyone got married, she moved out, right? She did the most women's lib type thing you could do in a time where nobody was doing that. So she was like really progressive in some ways and really completely not progressive in other ways.
Yeah, it's weird where like she draws the line.
There's a dichotomy between I have so much pride and I have so much drive and I just want to go out and get a job and move out, to I'm a completely worthless human being because I had sex before marriage. No one will ever want me. If she had been able to live longer, I really wanted to talk to her about how I didn't think she should feel so bad that she was such a terrible person, but she really did think she was a terrible person for giving a baby up for adoption.
Baby face, you got the cutest little baby face. There's not another one could take your place. Baby face, my poor heart is thumping. You sure have started something, baby face.
It was January 2005 and it was Martin Luther King Day. I think it was a Monday. So my boyfriend at the time made the phone call. And he presented her with my birth date, and she got upset and was kind of flustered and a little bit angry and pretty much hung up. So, yeah, a couple weeks later, I called back. I called. And she was in a hurry. She said she had to take her cat to the vet and that she couldn't talk. But it wasn't like a hang up. It was a little opening, maybe just a little teeny bit. I waited a couple more weeks and I called again. And she talked on that third call. We talked. And she was angry that I found her and wanted to know, not like hostile, angry, but just kind of frustrated that I found her. And on that third call, she said, you know, I buried you 43 years ago. I really got it that I was a secret, a huge secret. And I tried to totally reassure her, I'm not gonna, blow the secret. I'm not going to invade your life. So I really kind of took this stance that, I'm gonna have to court her and get her to see that that she can trust me to not blow the secret. And so that's what I did. And we just took it very slowly. And little by little, she warmed up to me.
I would say it was not that long ago, maybe 10 years. And she suddenly called me into the room and she said, "You see this drawer in this bureau?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "It has letters in it and it's from the daughter I lost." I said, "That's incredible. And she said, "Yes." And that's the only time when she told me, I said, "I think it would be wise if you told Jennifer." "Oh, I knew I couldn't. It might hurt her." "Oh, no, no, I can't tell her." Well, as I say, life went on and on again. And that's all I knew until the phone rang and it was Jane.
The first thing I said to Mom after I hung up with Barbara was, she said, "Well, what do you think?" I remember her, I can picture her in the bed, like looking sad and looking down and saying, "What do you think?" And I said, "Have you met me? This is the greatest thing ever. I don't understand why you thought that I wouldn't be happy about this." And she said, "Really?" I go, "Yes." And then I said, "What's her name?" And she said, "What?" I go, "What is her name?" And she gave me her name. And then she was talking about something, and I was on my phone. Ding, 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 ding. 5 minutes. I'm like, "I found her." She goes, "What?" "I found her on Facebook. I found her. I found her, and I've sent her a message." And she was shocked.
She texted that messenger on Facebook. That's how she contacted me. So now that I knew that Jane knew, that Jen knew, I thought, oh, wow, maybe we can all meet now. I was excited for that. And so we actually planned, I remember it was in August. I was going to fly out in August and meet both of them. And then in June.
So this all happened in one day. On a Saturday, she was not doing well, but still talking to me, and I came down to visit. And basically, by the next morning, she was unconscious. And the hospital told me to get hospice in, and that she basically was not going to come out of this. So I called Susie and I told Susie,
she has taken a turn for the worse and she's on her deathbed, basically. And I said, I'll be there. And I got a red eye flight.
11:45. It's dark. The lights were out. And the nurse had said that her heart rate was slowing down. So I said to her, "Mom, you have to hang on because Susie's on her way." And that was when she died. Sorry. That was when she died because I don't think she could handle it.
Is that one? Oh, that's the phrase. I did want to. I did want to. You made me want you, baby, all the time. You really knew it. You made me happy sometimes, and you made me sad. But there were times, dear.
If I would never have thought, I would never have said that if I thought it was going to make her die at that moment. But if you look at it in a kind of it's not a funny way, but she went out on her own terms. She was like, "Nope, I am not going to meet her. I don't want to do that. It's not, I don't want to." Right. So it kind of goes along with what I said in the beginning. She was a very forward, she was ahead of her time, and she was not going to do anything that anyone was going to make her do.
I walked into the hotel, the Hilton, and they said, you have a phone call. The front desk said, you have a phone call. And it was Jen. and she told me that Jane had passed. But, and this is the remarkable thing that I just, to this day, I will always be so grateful. Jen asked the hospital to hold her body so I could see her and say what I needed to say. And I actually have a very touching picture of my hand, Jane's hand, and Jen's hand. Of course, after Jane had passed away. It's very moving and it's beautiful.
My first reaction when I met her was, wow, you look so much like my mother. I mean, knowing at that point that she was my half sister. But you know, like when you meet people and you're like, oh, you look like someone I know. So my first reaction was, wow, you look a lot like my mother. Oh, wait, that's because she's your mother too.
I didn't get to meet my mother, but now I have a sister that I get to continue a relationship with without any guilt or shame involved. And of course, the circumstances of the hospital and the deathbed, it was very emotional. But it told me everything I needed to know about my sister. And I've just been delighted to know her, and it's been great.
If I could tell my Nana anything, I would first say, I hope you're not too mad at me for making this documentary. And I hope you know that I made it because I'm trying to show you that there's nothing to be ashamed of. You never had to feel that way. And I'm so sorry that you did have to feel that way. Because that's horrible and I don't know how you did that. But I love you just the same. I love you even more.
There's nothing to be ashamed of, Jane. I'm so sorry that you had to live with this secret and this shame, because that must have been heavy on her heart. Thank you. You made the right decision. I've had a wonderful, privileged life.
I would tell her that she should have had more faith in me. That even though she was so shame-filled about this, that she should have, when Susie found her, realized this was a different time and that I was a different person and that this could have been great. And that is a huge regret I have. And it's not my regret because I was not my secret. But I think if I could recreate her telling me in 2005, and then we could have been friends with, had Susie come visit, and we would have all been able to embrace this great new relationship that was okay. It was an accident, but it would have been fantastic.
I wish I could tell her that I miss her absolutely every day, and I admire her beyond words for what she did about Susie. I would like her to know that she has two loving daughters and a loving granddaughter and family, and that everything she tried so hard to build is here now.
Give me more what I cried for. You know you got the brand of kisses that I die for. You know you made me love you. You sound like a real moment. Sophie Tucker, good thing of it. The trouble with my voice, it has a range of about 5 notes, and as soon as it goes